Today we are going to be painting our leaves for our background. Now you'll notice that the leaves are not just one color of green. There's some yellow, some white, some dark green, some light green, and we are going to be mixing the leaves right on your paper. By the end of today, you will have a piece of paper that looks like this, and we will have about 20 leaves. We're going to have 8 across the top, then we'll have 2 kind of more branches, and then fill in the rest of the space with medium leaves. Now we want them to be nice and big so that we fill up the background instead of having really little ones. So you have a green piece of paper, a dark green piece of paper, and a white color pencil. On the back, I want you to write your name. Once you have written your name, turn it over the landscape way. And again, across the top, we're going to do 8 big ones. Now, a leaf, we're going to start on the far left, and we're going to draw a nice big C shape. Kind of a shallow C. And then we're going to connect the top and the bottom, just like that. Now we want to make sure we're not doing small leaves like this one, and make sure we're not doing circles. Okay, we want to make sure that they kind of come to a little point. So if you mess up like I messed up here, that's okay. I can just go right over it as we're painting. So again, I'm going to do a C, and then an opposite, kind of coming to a point. And I'm going to try and fit 8 big ones across the top. If you can fit 7, that's fine. That means they're nice and big. But if you can fit like 12, 13, 14, that means they're too small. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Kind of do a nice big one. Leaves are in all different shapes, so if they all look a little bit different, that's okay. So go ahead and do 8 leaves, big leaves up at the top. Then we're going to do kind of the branch down here. So I'm going to start, and I'm going to just do one line curve to the left. Then I'm going to draw nice big leaves, nice and big on the side, as we will be cutting these out. We don't want them to be too small. Go ahead and make your leaf. Then I'm going to draw a leaf up at the top, leaving room. Notice how I leave room for my leaves. Go ahead and draw your second branch. Then I'm going to fill the rest in with branches. So I have 8 leaves right now, so I'm going to fill in with about 10, maybe 10 to 12 leaves. Now we don't want any really little ones. Those are going to be very hard to cut out and very hard to paint. So I'm going to be drawing medium-sized leaves, filling up the space. Now these are kind of all the same shape, but remember, leaves are different shapes, so I could make them some a little bit longer, some a little bit thinner. But I'm filling in with different leaf shapes. Go ahead and finish drawing at least 20 different leaves. Now we are ready to paint. Again, we know that they are different colors. Now you're going to get a palette, and on that palette we have yellow, green, and white. They should stay separate. You are not mixing on your palette. We are going to be mixing right on the paper. So I am going to start just with the green. I'm going to hold my brush near the silver part like a pencil. If I hold it too far up, then I do not have nice brush control, and it will be very hard to stay inside the lines. So I'm going to start near the top, and I'm going to pull my paintbrush down. Start at the top. Maybe notice how I flip my paintbrush over and pull down. and I can fill it in. I do not want to see this. That does not have nice clean brush strokes. So you're going to pull down, pull down. You're pulling the paintbrush so that the brush gets nice and wide and fills up more space. I want you just to paint 3 leaves with the green. Go ahead. Then we're going to dip our brush into the yellow, but I'm not going to mix it. So I'm just going to dip it. If I get a little teeny green in there, that's okay, but I don't want a lot. Then I'm just going to do maybe a couple brush strokes in those 3 leaves with the yellow. Notice how I can still see the green. I know in the video it looks very dark, but it is green. Go ahead and add those 3 brush strokes to those leaves. Next, I'm going to grab yellow, and I'm going to paint three more leaves with just yellow. Now the first one you'll notice is quite yellow, as I had just gotten yellow. The next one has yellow and green, and the third one's going to be kind of a lime green. If you need more paint, you can. Again, pulling, making nice brush strokes. Go ahead and paint the next 3 with just yellow. Then I'm going to dip my brush in the green again, the darker green, and I'm going to make a brush stroke. Again, not covering all the yellow, just a little bit. With the last 2 leaves on this side, I'm going to dip my brush in white, again, not mixing. And I'm going to paint those 2 leaves. Now, if you have 3 left, you can paint 3. If you have 4 left, you can paint 4. If you only have 1, just paint 1. I'm going to paint these 2 with just white. And then I'm going to choose 1 more. So 1 more down here. I think I'll do this middle one. This one's quite white. That's okay. Go ahead and paint 3 with just white. Then I'm going to dip my brush in yellow, not mixing, and I'm going to bring in a brush stroke on those 3 yellow ones, or excuse me, those 3 white ones. Next, we're going to paint this branch over here, and I'm going to use the, I think I'm going to use the yellow. I'm going to start at the top, and I'm going to pull my brush down in a nice straight line. Just pulling it down. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to paint each leaf. They will be maybe a little bit different in color because your brush is messy. We have not rinsed it yet. Still has other paint on it. Notice how I'm kind of turning my paintbrush, keeping it so the brush is still nice. Kind of curving it. Go ahead and paint this branch. And if you want in this branch, you can go in with a little green, or you can just leave it 1 color. That is up to you. Next, I want you to go ahead and fill in and paint the rest of your leaves with any kind of combination. So you could mix different colors, you can go do different colors on top of each other. I just want you mixing on the paper. I do not want you mixing on your palette, as we may not all want to do the same color combinations. So make sure you keep your paint tray, your paint palette clean. But go ahead and spend a little time and fill in and paint all of your leaves. Now we are ready to glue our batik, finished and dry batik, to a construction piece of paper. You want to choose a piece of construction paper that looks nice with your artwork. I'm not going to choose lime green because then my artwork would blend in. I could choose orange because that would bring out the tiger. I could choose blue. I could choose purple. I decided to kind of bring in this flower that I have here with the magenta background. Now when you're gluing it, you want to put it in the center, as we're going to be filling leaves around, the ones that we just painted. So I'm going to flip my artwork over, I'm going to open the glue, and I am going to trace the edges with glue. Notice how I'm not going too close to the edges, as we don't want it to seep out or kind of come out. And then I'm going to do a wavy line across. I do not need a lot of glue. Then I'm going to flip it. I don't want to put it up in the corner. I don't want to put it like this, diagonal. So I'm going to, looks good, and then I'll set it down, and you want to hold it. It is wrinkly paper, so it's harder to glue. So you want to hold it. A trick that you can do is you can also flip your artwork over and rub on the back side of your artwork. Once you have glued your artwork on the back, I want you to write your name. Today we are going to be cutting out our leaves and adding black oil pastel for the details. So you are just going to start, you have these leaves from last week, and you're just going to start cutting them out. Now when you cut them out, you want to cut a little bit on the paint so you don't see any of that green paper. However, you don't want to cut off or into your leaf too much because we want them to stay nice and big. So you're going to take your time cutting out all of your leaves. Now, let's say some of them, when you were painting, as you were painting, they didn't look quite like a leaf. They kind of ended up being like a circle or a different shape. Now is the time to cut it out so it does look like a leaf. But you're going to keep going. You're going to cut out all of your leaves until you have lots of leaves cut out. Now you'll notice that I've started drawing and outlining these leaves already, and that's what we're going to do next. You will get a black oil pastel, and you are just going to trace the outline of your leaf. Notice how I'm not right on the edge there, kind of close to the edge. And then I'm actually going to, I could on some leaves add even more details to make them look more like leaves. Like you can see here, I have some details. Here I just outlined. On this one, I did outline as well. So here I can outline. Doesn't have to be a perfect outline. If you're not exactly connecting, that's okay. We just wanted to bring it out on our paper, our background paper. So go ahead, take some time and outline or add any details to your leaves so that you are ready to glue. Once they're all cut out, you can see that I have glued them kind of all around my background. Some of them are overlapping and actually touching my animal batik, and that's okay. We want that. Now, you don't want to color anything really important, but you do want to cover some of the edges. So before I even glue, I'm going to lay out my branches. Some of you, your artwork is the portrait way, so you'll do the same thing that I'm doing. Mine's the landscape way. And I'm just going to kind of lay them out first to see where I want them. Maybe start with the bigger ones. Those need a bigger spot. You can overlap a little bit. If you have extras, you don't think you're going to use them all, maybe see if a friend needs them, or you can recycle them. But I think I used all 20 of mine, and you can see that I have it all kind of fills in the border, but my tiger still stands out. So once you have kind of laid them out, you know where you want to put them, you're just going to start gluing. Again, you do not need a lot of glue. You're gluing glue or paper to paper. So I'm going to outline it just a little bit, not too close to the edge. Hold it down. Make sure you're not smudging the black oil pastel. Make sure when you hold it, you're not really rubbing, you're just holding it. Otherwise, that black oil pastel is definitely going to smudge. But you're going to continue to glue all of your leaves until you are totally done with your artwork and they are all nice and glued.